بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Ihya Ulum al-Din, book 20, the prophetic ethics, and كتاب أدب المعيشة وأخلاق النبوة. And we said that it's not restricted only to ethics. It did include a description of the physiognomy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we have reached a part about, really it's about theology, about the miracles and signs, an account of these miracles and signs that were associated with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, proving his truth. And we have read them. And we said that we will, about 45 of them, and we said that we were going to read to look into the verification of each one of these miracles or signs, the verification of the hadith. But I will just simply read what Imam Al-Ghazali said after mentioning all these 45 accounts. He said, "We have confined ourselves to those reports which are spread widely. He who suspects that Sayyid Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam upsetting the customary course of events and asserts that the reports of these occurrences were not transmitted by several independent sources, and that only the Quran is to be regarded as mutawatir, is like the one who doubts the bravery of Ali bin Abi Talib radhiallahu anhu and the munificence of Hatim al-Ta'i, whereas it is known that though the single reports of their occurrence is not mutawatir, Hatim al-Ta'i was a pre-Islamic obviously a very generous man. There are two accounts of his generosity. One of them is that one day he had a guest, and he had nothing to offer his guest except his horse. So he slaughtered his horse and fed his guest. The other account is that a woman with children, hungry children, who came to him late at night, and she asked him, to feed the children. They were hungry, and he awakened, his not only his household, really, he awakened everyone and started slaughtering his cattle, his sheep, until he fed practically everyone. Did not leave, any animal behind. So almost like the whole tribe, the whole region, was there a famine there, or whatever the case. So he's considered like the generous person in pre-Islamic times, but of course he was not the only one. But here the issue is about the how do we know about these things? The reports are not independent chains of narrators to reach the level of mutawatir. The sum total of the occurrences gives certain knowledge. Moreover, you will not have doubts concerning the independent consecutive transmission of the Quran, which is the greatest everlasting miracle among mankind, and there not being any other everlasting miracle by any prophet other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As Muslims, we do believe, for example, in the miracles that Prophet Jesus Christ, peace upon him, performed, whether it's healing the blind, healing the lepers, quickening the dead. But the Quran is always followed by the phrase, by leave of God. But none of these is existent. So we believe because of the account of the Quran. We believe in the staff of Prophet Moses turning into a snake that swallowed the magic of the magicians of the Pharaoh, the Egyptian magicians. The splitting of the sea, for example, we believe in that, but because of the Quran, these are not miracles that continue until today. So, furthermore, but the Quran itself is the miracle, and probably people need to know at least minimum Arabic to realize the miraculous nature of the Quran, and different levels, different levels, whether it's the language, the scientific content, which is impossible for the Prophet ﷺ to know, and at the time. Furthermore, the Messenger of Allah contended with the orators of the people and with the eloquent men of the Arabs by means of the Quran. They knew that it's something different. The Arabs, by means of the Quran, the Arab Peninsula at this time being filled with thousands of them, and with their oratory, which was their method of boasting and vying, especially in poetry. Furthermore, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ called them to produce its likeness, or 10 surahs, this is really in the Quran, or even one surah like the Quran, if they doubted him. And the challenge continues from that time until today. Some Christian institution asked an Arabic teacher in Jerusalem, whom I knew really. He's from our neighborhood. And I did teach his daughter at the university. They asked him to, so he's a Muslim, teacher of Arabic. They asked him to write a biography of Jesus Christ, peace upon him, in classical Arabic. And it seems that there was an attempt to imitate the Quran, the style of the Quran. And the only thing that you could get in that book is the ends of the sentences were rhyming, but obviously it was like a forced rhyme, and nothing else. So what was the idea? God knows. He passed away. It didn't work. I mean, it's a very awkward style, very awkward constructs. So almost one might say it's anything but Arabic. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said to them when he challenged them, but this is really the again, this is from the Quran. Say, indeed, if mankind and the jinn should conspire to produce the like of this, they could not produce its likeness, although the one should help the other. saying that to baffle them. The result was that they were unable to produce its likeness, and they turned away from him until they exposed themselves to slaughter and their wives and children to capture. Moreover, they were unable to match or to impugn its chaste language, the Quran's chaste language, and its beauty. And it, meaning the Quran, was spread after Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, time throughout the zones of the world, east and west, generation after generation, age after age, there having elapsed close to 500 years, and yet no one was able to match it. Of course, close to 500 years, this is the Imam Al-Ghazali. You remember the Imam Ghazali died in the year 505 of the Islamic calendar, of the Hijri calendar. And yet no one was able to match it. Today we can say it's been more than 1400 years, and no one was able to match it, to match even part of it. Hence, how great is the ignorance of one who, reflecting upon Prophet Muhammad qualities, sayings, deeds, character, miracles, the continuance of his law till the present, is spreading throughout the zones of the world, the submission rendered to it by the kings of the earth in Prophet Muhammad's own age and the following ages, notwithstanding his being weak and an orphan, still doubts his truth after that. And how great is the salvation of one who believes Prophet Muhammad has faith in him and follows him in regard to all his doings. We ask Allah to help us imitate Prophet Muhammad character, actions, qualities, and sayings through his grace and the ampleness of his generosity. The book of the conduct of life, as exemplified by the prophetic character, is ended with praise of Allah by means of his help, his grace, his generosity, and there will follow it, if Allah will, the book of the exposition of the wonders of the heart, of the quarter of the cause of perdition, abstracts of materials from this is from pre-Ghazalian sources regarding these miracles. It begins with Ibn Sa'd Tabaqat, but we will still have to do the verification of the hadith, or regarding the miracles and signs of the Prophet ﷺ. We read 5 of these in the previous session, so we'll just go over them and continue. The number 1, the hadith about feeding a large number of people at the house of Jabir is agreed upon, meaning Bukhari and Muslim. Number 2, feeding a large number of people at the house of Abu Talha is also agreed upon. Number 3, the hadith of feeding 80 people from 4 mud. We said that mud was like, filling 2 the palms of your hands with barley in this case. It has been mentioned in Imam al-Bukhari's compendia without the number of those who were fed. And other sources mentioned different numbers. Number 4 again is feeding more than 80 men from loaves of barley that Anas Radwan carried in his own hands. And it seems that it's the same like the one before, because it's about 80. Yes. And it's agreed upon. So you have 80, you have 70, the number. But the idea is many people ate from these loaves of bread. Always about the blessing of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 5, the feeding the army from just a little bit of dates. Has a good chain of narrators. The number 6 is the water springing from within his fingers, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the army drank, and they were very thirsty, and they performed ablution. And this hadith is agreed upon. It's agreed upon in mentioning the ablution regarding the quenching their thirst has a good chain of narrators. Number 7, the Prophet ﷺ pouring basically the water that he used in ablution in the spring of Tabuk, and it had no water at the time. It was a dried up spring. And once about the well of Hudaybiyah, and they sprang with water. And this is the Imam Muslim verified this, narrated this hadith from Mu'adh radhiallahu anhu, and from the hadith of Salam ibn Akwa about Hudaybiyah, the Mu'adh about Tabuk, the spring of Tabuk, and Salam ibn Akwa about the well of the Hudaybiyah. And also for Imam al-Bukhari has a slightly different version of the same hadith. And in both traditions, they were about 1,400 people. Slight variation about the number of people. Number 8. The hadith commanding Umar radhiallahu anhu to provide 400 riders with from dates, meager dates, and the hadith has a sound chain of narrators. And Abu Dawood in his Compendia and his Sunan has the hadith without the number of riders. The tradition about throwing dust in the face of the army of the enemies, and their eyes were blinded. It was verified, narrated by Imam Muslim. The hadith is about nullifying the work of the fortune tellers, mm, magicians in a sense. Its origin is in the Bukhari. Number 11, the yearning of the trunk of the tree to the Prophet has been narrated by Imam Bukhari. The number 12, in the hadith about inviting the Jews to wish death, and he told them that they will not wish death. It's narrated by Al-Bukhari. There's one part, there are certain details with a weak chain of narrators that had they said that they wished they would have died on the spot, but the essential hadith was narrated by Bukhari من hadith ibn Abbas. The hadith that Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan will be hit with calamity leading to the Jannah is agreed upon, narrated by Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. The hadith that Ammar will be bin Yasir radiallahu anh, will be killed by the unjust group when Muslims fight internally. It was narrated by Imam Muslim and also Bukhari. Imam Muslim from hadith Abi Qatada and Salama, and Bukhari from the hadith of Abi Sa'id. Which means that Ammar would be on the right side of faith and history, and he was killed. Number 3, the hadith of in which the Prophet ﷺ prophesied that Al-Hasan, his son of Ali and Fatima radiallahu anhum, will make peace between two great groups of Muslims, narrated by Bukhari. The hadith about a man who was really fighting, the appearance that it was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he was destined to hellfire, is agreed upon because he was injured, and it seems this hadith is the one in which basically this companion leaned against his spear and committed suicide. So he was doing the appearance, he was doing fine, but the end result was definitely unacceptable. Then it is followed by the hadith of Suraqa bin Malik. This is in the story of the Hijrah, the migration from Mecca to Medina. He followed them, and his the legs of his horse went deep into the ground, not a natural thing. So Suraqa knew it's really about the Prophet ﷺ, and this is the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ promised him the bracelets of the Emperor Kisra of Persia. It's an agreed upon hadith. The hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ informed people about the killing of Al-Aswad al-Ansi, and he was in Sana'a in Yemen, and who killed him. So the Prophet ﷺ knew immediately and that he was killed at the hands of Fairuz Dailami. Yes, in the in Al-Bukhari or Muslim, from the hadith of narration of Abu Huraira, there is a narration about the two false كذابين, like two false prophets, two false. One of them is the Al-Ansi, which is mentioned in the hadith of Sana'a. The hadith about the Prophet ﷺ facing the 100 strong men of Quraysh who were waiting for him, but he threw dust in their faces and they did not see him. This hadith is weak, has a weak chain of narrators. And also there is no mention of the number, that they were 100. And Ibn Ishaq, obviously in his Sirah Wallahu Alam, he mentioned this hadith without the end of the chain of narrators reaching the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Mursal. The next hadith is the camel, complaining to the Prophet ﷺ that he was not fed well and that he was overworked. The beginning of the hadith is mentioned, narrated by Imam Muslim, without mentioning the camel. I think, inshallah, we have a long list of traditions, and I hope that we'll be able to cover the rest in the next session, inshallah. Until then, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.